Well, how's that for an intro today? We use that as our intro music for today. We're going to be speaking with Burt Philbrick, who is a member of our group and somebody who is definitely very active within the group in relation to, you know, all the cover band challenges that we do and the the head cut activities that we do, and commenting very positively on other people's builds. Today's episode is with thanks to C.B.Gitty.com for supporting our show. Big thanks to Ben and the team there. Greatly appreciated. It's a really wonderful thing that the guys have actually kind of taken us under their wing a bit and helping us out. So a big thank you to Ben and the team at C.B.Gitty. If you want to support our show, the best way to do that is literally just tell your friends about the show. Let them know that we are here. We record usually every Sunday morning, Sydney time, Australia. And we get a chance. Usually it's just might be just the four of us chatting about our builds and things like that. And we also love having a talk to our group members as well. And Phil is one of those group members. Another way you can support the show is if you're a builder by using our affiliate link down in the information section of the description for the episode. You'll find some links there. One of the links will be a link to C.B.Gitty with a password, and if you use that, you can get 10% off your first 3 orders with C.B.Gitty. Otherwise, it's just a really nice way to support this show. We get a little kickback from C.B.Gitty as well. They help us out. And it's all about helping each other out. All right, enough of the bookkeeping. It's all good. Also, if you want to check out what I'm doing, go to birdwoodguitars.com, and you can also buy here in Australia by Killer Strings. We've got a nice range of Killer Strings at birdwoodguitars.com as well. All right, enough of my yapping. Let's get on with the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have in the house Burt Philbrick, the master of doom. The man with the cool hair. Just like Joe, because I'm jealous because I don't have any.
Oh, yeah. Got plenty to spare.
Take it away, Joe.
All right, how are you today, Burt?
Good, trying to stay warm.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay cool in Australia. It's very, very hot here. So we've got Burt Philbrick, and we've got Jesse Thomas, and we've got Darren McDonald, and of course we've got our fearless leader Adam Harrison. And today is a Doom special, the Doom Brothers. So a lot of us, a lot of players play a lot of blues, but I know Burt, myself, and Jesse, we all like to sit on the heavier side a little bit and make these cigar box guitars as play those distortion riffs and so on. And you're a little bit of a master of it, Burt.
A little bit.
Yeah. No, you do very well. And that new album that you've just released with a few songs on it, very, very cool stuff you got there, mate.
That's my friend on bass. There's Adam. My friend,
Adam.
I got him playing bass again. We grew up playing together.
Your friend's playing bass on it?
Yeah, he's playing bass on that one. We grew up playing together.
Yep, and you do all the recording and all that yourself, don't you?
Yep, do it all on the computer.
How did you get into doing all that recording? Has it been something you've done for a long time, or just sort of something you got interested in as you went along?
Must have been sometime around 2010. I learned about how did it go? I saw a video by this band Fawn, and the guy was up on stage playing with a laptop. And one of the comments on the YouTube video was, "Look at the guy jamming the laptop." Like, what the hell is he doing with that? I looked into it, and he was using, it's called a DAW, Digital Audio Workplace, for recording digital music, making digital music.
Yep.
All right. Started checking out, record guitars, and play along with, like, computer drum grooves. So I don't know any drummers.
Yep.
Just grew from there.
Yeah, that's good. So you've always been a guitarist. Like I know you're passionate about cigar box guitars, but it doesn't just stop there for you. You dive into a lot of different guitar styles.
That's right. I was a guitarist before I learned about cigar box guitars.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
I'd record stuff and I put it up on this site called Looperman. And somebody started a forum thread and said something about a $3,000 guitar has a more soulful sound than a cheap guitar. And then a link followed for cigar box guitars.
Like, I've heard that one before too. Yeah, and one of my favourite guitars that you made is that is it a semi-hollow body, that white one? It's a 4-string. It's got the cross samples. That thing's pretty as. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, body.
So tell us a little bit about that one. Is it a hollow body?
Hollow body, all the way through.
Yeah.
It's solid here. It's solid in this section here for the neck to attach.
Yeah,
there's a block underneath the bridge for that to be solid.
And that's a 4-string, isn't it?
4-string, yep, 4-string fretted.
Yeah, that thing's pretty, really nice looking guitar.
Used to be covered doors. Oak covered doors.
Door. That's right. I remember you built that out of your cupboard door. I remember that from a while ago.
Yeah, a couple covered doors. I stacked them together.
Is it your favourite, or do you have another favourite?
It's one of my favorites.
So
that's one of my favorites.
One of the sorry guys, one of the things that I've noticed. Oh, you got the bit. Or you're gonna call, what do you call it? The BC Rich bitch or Bic? BICH.
Mockingbird.
It's the Mockingbird style. That one. That's right. Yeah, I love it. So you're a bit of a metal guy from way back. Look, I just wanted to clarify something because there's a lot of people who might be listening to the show. We're talking about doom. There might be a lot of people who aren't actually familiar with with the style. So can you describe for the listeners what doom actually is?
Well, think of Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Usually slow and heavy, not real fast. Typically slow and heavy. A lot of melody. Sludge, yep, sludgy. There's so many different styles of doom.
So, are any bands that are that inspire you? Are there any particular bands apart from Sabbath? Obviously, now I can see the Sabbath thing. We've obviously don't have. We're an audio thing here, but I can see on your T-shirt, that you've got, and Jesse's wearing his proudly today, Burt's Blues Boxes. But I can see that's in the shape of a cross, almost like a Celtic cross. And so for me, I'm looking at that, and the first thing I think is doom. I see the artwork. I'm thinking Sabbath, obviously, is a huge thing for you. Are there any other bands that inspire you, apart from getting people to listen to your music? Just if people are curious, what's some other bands that might be interesting to people? Sorry, what was that?
Candlemass. That's a real good one. My Dying Bride.
Yep.
That's more. It started out as death metal, more extreme, but they've toned it down to become more a gothic doom.
Yeah.
Real heavy gothic doom.
Doom does fall into the gothic category quite easily, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
One I used to really like was Orange Goblin. Would you classify them as doom?
I like Orange Goblin.
Orange Goblin.
Yeah, they got a little bit more of a biker type feel, right?
True.
More hard rock-ish.
Yeah.
Like Zodiac Mind Warp.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that.
Joe knows what I'm talking about.
You just made that up, didn't you, Adam?
No, man. No, Zodiac Mind Warp, man. They used to be on Rage. Like, usually it'd be about 3 in the morning after the metal stuff. They'd kind of start blending in other stuff. And man.
I've never heard of them.
Oh, Zodiac Mind Warp. You should see that. Watch their film clip. I'm telling you. I can't remember the name of the song, but it's out there.
Pretty cool name.
Yeah.
But to me, doom, like Burt said, kind of falls into. I mean, the variety is wide. You have slow and low. You have with easy vocals, clean vocals. And then you have the other side where it's more faster and powerful. But to me, it all stems from some sort of grief that somebody's feeling, or romance. I think romance, because you can't. Love and grief are kind of the same thing.
They go together.
They go together, and these different artists, they just it's really heartful music.
Like blues, very soulful, a lot of emotion to it.
Yeah.
A lot of repetitive riffs, like you roll over the same riff, and would you say it's more distortion than fuzz? Wouldn't it be?
Well, I guess it depends. Is you got bugged out doom there. It's just there's so many different styles of it.
That is true.
See, especially with fuzz, I'd be thinking that the doom wouldn't necessarily be your fuzz face kind of sound. You'd definitely be leaning more on the side of, like your what is it, the big muff kind of sound, that very kind of saturated, very really kind of that wall of noise, that real heavy wall. Or do you get much in the way? Because I'm a bit of a fuzz aficionado. I mean, it's I build a lot of them, and
I've got one of them. Great little pedal.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing. I'm a bit of a transistor nut. Sorry, Bert.
The digital music production, they get a lot of digital pedals.
Yeah.
The old black, what do they call it? The Roku Rat.
Yeah.
I got the actual MIDI one. This one's a delay one, but I got the actual black Rat one like this.
Yeah.
Then I got a digital copy of it on my computer. And I got a couple fuzz ones.
Yeah. Well, the Rat is a remarkable pedal, because the Proco Rat.
Proco Rat.
Yeah, because you could. I don't have the Proco version. I've actually got the Jam Pedals version, the Rattler. But what I find with that is, depending on where I situate the tone control and the distortion control, you can go from actually a really lovely bluesy drive all up to metal, which is what Metallica were using back in the early 80s. They would use that to supplement their Marshalls. And then, but you can just roll it all the way up, and then it does hit you with like a heavy kind of a fuzz tone. So it's quite a versatile little pedal, that one. It's a great pedal. But for me, I associate, if someone said to me Doom, first thing I associate sound-wise, I'd be going straight into that saturated fuzz kind of sound. But it's it's like every time I plug in the heavy fuzz pedal here, like the first thing I'm doing is I'm playing Sabbath riffs, Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of thing.
I recently bought it. Sorry, Jesse, you're up?
Oh, well, so I've listened to a lot of Burt's music over and over and over. I'm fortunate enough to have a few of his CDs already that he's made over the past few years.
Yep.
And Burt plays a lot of fretless guitar. So he really makes those strings really sound out and sing, rather than, the power chords. He layers his music, so really like the rhythm guitar is behind him, and he's really singing those notes out with that fretless,
nice warm tone. Definitely.
So the blues kind of fall into the doom category automatically. So I mean, it's just so many directions. And if anybody listening, look Burt up on YouTube. It's just Burt Philbrick, right, Burt? And you can all those other ones, Burt's blues boxes. Trance. You can kind of go into a trance listening to his music.
I actually find it very much like a soundtrack to like a zombie vampire cowboy movie or something. I think that market is perfect for you. Like, you listen to that, and I'm literally waiting for some gunslinger to come shooting out with a vampire chewing on his neck, when I hear your music. It just has that soundtrack vibe. I think as I said, I think there's an untapped market there for you, Bert. You should try and chase that up, but you never know. You could be on the next, Wesley Snipes movie.
I was thinking a Rodriguez movie. Maybe, what was it, Dusk Till Dawn Part 2?
Dusk Till Dawn. Those ones. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Is to get Antonio Banderas playing one of your Cigar Box guitars across the bar, top of a bar, it just... I can see that.
I think he'd blow his pants these days, old Tony and Banderas.
So where can we find you, Bert? Where can the listeners find you if they want to listen to your music there?
Well, YouTube, Burt Philbrick. Is it under Burt Philbrick or Burt and Philbrick on YouTube? Let me see right now.
What's your platforms, Facebook and YouTube?
Facebook and YouTube, and then all those streaming ones. My Burt and Philbrick on YouTube. There we go.
Yep.
But what about...
I changed it to Burt Philbrick.
So, Bert...
By anyway.
You're right. Sorry, guys. Now, we know obviously you're a prolific recorder. And,
all the time.
But as far as building guitars, let's talk about the Cigar Box guitars a little bit and what's been happening with that. So I'm curious about what you were doing before Cigar Box guitars, and what was the story? How did you actually get into either building and playing Cigar Box guitars? What's the story behind that?
So I was recording music and putting it up online, and I saw that comment about cheap guitars, expensive guitars sounded better than cheap guitars.
Yeah.
Then I looked up. Always been like a handyman. Maintenance type, building maintenance type stuff. I got all the tools. I know how to do all that stuff. So I started looking up, where can I get a Cigar Box guitar? The prices were so high that I found Glenn Watt's video, the easiest way to make a Cigar Box guitar.
I love it.
And that was it.
That's my go-to when beginners ask me, how do I build a Cigar Box guitar? It's the first thing I do is I upload that and just send that to them. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I started on that video too. I started on that video as well. I was watching C6D videos and some early Jack White videos, and I thought I got to get in on this. And the Glenn Watts beginner how to build one out of basic tools or whatever it was, that got me into it as well.
Yeah, then you get fancier tools and make it easier.
Yes, yeah, that's what I did as well. Every time I built a guitar and sold it, I took a bit of that money and I bought a few tools each time as I went along, and eventually you just start building what you want.
Yep.
So,
always after the next challenge.
It's
so easy to do with the Cigar Box, then you start going into solid bodies. Solid bodies get easy. So, hey, what about hollow bodies?
Yeah.
So what else can I do to make this more challenging?
It's a journey, isn't it? It's always about trying something new. Yeah.
Always trying something new, always learning.
Yeah. No, you do very well. I like your guitars. I like your playing style, and I think you're a genuine all-round good guy. So keep doing you, Bert.
I don't. No, I'm kidding.
There's always got to be one, hasn't there, Adam?
What about Scrappy Mouth?
We could just put an ink blot on his picture there.
Yeah. And I wind my own pickup one too.
Oh, there he goes. Oh, we've offended you now. Adam's deleted his space off the screen. Oh, is that what you're currently working on there?
Ooh. That's one that I'm working on. It's got a hand wound pickup.
Did you wind that pickup?
Yes.
Nice.
These ones. Well, those ones that are in here.
I bet you Bert winds at least 75% of his own pickups.
That's one thing I haven't done yet. I've never wound a pickup yet. I've got to get around to doing that.
Yeah.
You've done a few, haven't you, Jesse?
Yes, I have. But I think maybe Bert could tell us a little bit about how he does it, how he winds his own pickup.
Yeah, I'll have to. This summer, I'm going to make some videos actually showing all the steps, making a winder. Yeah. I have a pickup winder that's made out of an acid cigar box with a sewing machine motor in it. So
Yep.
the sewing machine motor spins the pickup, and I got a little rig that pulls my wires and just guide the wire back and forth as it winds onto the pickup there.
Because essentially that's what creates the tone, isn't it? How much tension you have on that wire. Like that creates a different sound out of the pickups.
The different wire gauges. Yeah, I get tension.
Yeah.
Oil shape, types of magnets. There's so many variables to it.
Yeah. So it's hard to, if you made one, it would be hard to reproduce it exactly, or do you find them to sound the same, or they're all different?
Within reason. If you use all the same materials,
Yeah.
you put about the same number of winds.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of maths behind keeping that same sound.
Well, yeah, you can get pretty damn close.
Yeah.
So you're not really going to have a massive difference. You know, how many winds do you generally do per pickup? It's usually around about 4,000 to 5,000 winds, or
5, depending on what pickup, 5 to 10,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot, isn't it?
About 5,000. If I want to make it extra hard, maybe 7,000-8,000.
Yeah,
and then P90 style about 10,000.
But then your choice of magnet's going to make a big difference as well, isn't it? So do you use neodymium or what kind of
neodymium?
Yeah,
those have a real bright sound.
Yeah,
real squeaky high end. Ceramic. I use ceramic a lot because those are pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Nico sometimes that's a lot more expensive.
Yeah. The ceramic's great for metal. I think ceramic pickups have got a bit of a, you know, in the pickup snobbery world. There's people sometimes turn their nose up at ceramic, but ceramic's fantastic. It's the great.
Yeah, I have one ceramic pickup. I absolutely love it. That's on my lap slide, and it just has so much character. It's one of my favorite pickups. I want to get another ceramic actually.
Yeah. But it's one of those funny things though that when you build your own pickup, it's like here's Mr. Moneyman looking at the business side of things as well, because that's what I do. How long does it take you to build a pickup, Burt?
A couple of hours, maybe.
A couple of hours? A good couple of hours?
A couple of hours.
Right. So if you're working at approximately $80 an hour, if you consider your work is worth about $80 an hour, that's $160 plus parts that you've invested in building that pickup. And so far,
Australian currency though. That's Australian currency.
That's Aussie currency. That's Aussie. You know, and the only person I can see at the moment out there in the cigar box guitar world who's actually charging, and I mean charging as in dollar wise, you know, a fair rate. It's got to be Mike Snowden, because Mike's guitars have gone from $500 or nearly $500 to $600 up to close to $1,000. But he's now winding his own pickups. But he's doing humbuckers, he's doing single coils, he's doing, you know, and he's doing them on every single guitar that he does. He used to only do piezo, and now he's doing like, as I said, humbuckers, P90s, you know, all that type of stuff. But he's put his prices up, and I commend him for it. And he's selling out, like he's absolutely selling out. And I just think that it's such an art form. It's such a and I'm talking about, you know what I mean? It's like my hat's off to you, mate, because it's like there's so much more work involved in it, and how many years have you been doing it?
I started building in 2016. I want to say I started winding pickups a year after.
Yeah. So you've been doing it a long time, so there's a lot of expertise in doing that as well, and it's you know, it's
a lot of trial and error.
Well, the recordings sound fantastic. I've gone through listening to your songs, and they sound absolutely magical. And they're all single coil?
No, that's all different pickups.
So you do some humbuckers and
P90 does it all.
Some guitars will have Marty Tarver's Wicked Bucker.
Yes.
You can see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some of them have that. Some of them, that's like a P90.
Yeah.
P90 style.
That's a cool looking pickup. That's just put into a piece of wood there, is it?
Yeah, white birch tree came down on my property here. I chopped it up and made fretboards.
Yeah.
And I had some
nice grain to it.
Yeah, it's lovely colours, isn't it?
You can't see the there's no pole because it's just magnets glued and sandwiched in between.
Yeah.
It's 2 pieces of wood. And the wire's wrapped directly around that magnet.
Yeah.
The P90 one, the little piece of steel rod, and then I put 2 magnets on the bottom, like on the sides of the rocks.
Yes. Yep.
So some of the fenders usually the pole pieces are magnetized.
Yeah.
Or they'll put like a piece of ceramic magnet right underneath the pole pieces.
Yeah.
The magnet is turned to the side, so it's so let's say it's North Pole.
Yeah.
It's turned on its side. It's facing those steel pieces. And the South Pole is facing out away from that. What makes this like arc shape magnetic field around the pickup? That's what gives it that sound.
So what you've got north to north. Or south to south?
North facing north, or south facing south, either way.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It'll actually attract to that steel really strong, and it'll overcome its want to push apart.
Yeah, oh wow, that's fantastic.
I think I'm going to have to go down the rabbit hole of how to learn to make a pickup, because it sounds very, very interesting.
Well, especially on your guitars, Joe. Especially on your guitars.
The only way I've ever done it is with a cordless drill. That's how I want it. It's tedious because that wire is thinner than your hair, and it breaks you. And if you break it, you got to start over.
That's it.
Pull it all off that pickup and start fresh.
Can't tie a knot in it.
No.
It would burn.
I've made a few pickups I call wrench buckers. So I'll take like a 7/16 or like a 14 millimeter wrench.
Oh yeah.
And I'll put magnets in the middle of the wrench. You know, if you want a 3-string, you put 3 magnets, 4-string, 4 magnets. And you take your winds around one side of the magnets. You know, you got it hooked up to your cordless drill. And then when you cross over, you wind the other way on the other side of the magnets.
Was that like a figure 8 pattern?
Yep. And they always turn out pretty cool. You just have to be careful because that wire is hair thin, and it gets scary. You know, it's like you're on the operating table.
Yeah.
It's an exercise in patience and anger management.
Yeah, exactly what we all need. We all need to rewinding pickups, I think.
It would be exciting. I've done one. It was just as purely as a practice piece with the hand drill clamped to the counter. I think I managed at the time to do something like, I think it was very small. I think I did maybe 800 winds, and for some reason I had to stop, and I had that urgency, so I quickly wired it up to an output jack and plugged it in and held it over, and it worked. I could just hear it, you know what I mean? But it actually worked, and it was a wonderful experiment. And the thing that I'm loving about what you're doing, Phil, is you know, when we start, we're starting from experimenting, and I'm going to talk about some group members at the moment, not directly, but I get the feeling that there's a lot of people who are coming into the group, and you know, when they're starting with their first guitar, you know, they might be coming from a guitarist background, they might be coming even from a luthier background, they might be coming from, you know, they could be accountants, or they've maybe have never worked with wood before, or whatever it is. But so many people are coming onto the group, and they all want to do like a perfect build the first time. And it's a little frustrating because, I don't think, get a kit. You know, if you want something to be perfect, you know, the first time, and Darren and I know this because we got a couple of kits, and you know, I mean, I love Ben at C.B.Gitty, and the kits were fantastic, but they're not perfect. There's enough leeway in there where you've got to problem solve a little bit, and even those they're quite exciting because you're not quite sure what's happening, or something might hear and you go, okay, I don't like the sound of that. How do I fix that? And I think we're losing maybe it's because everything on the internet is so bloody easy to find. It's like a lot of people aren't experimenting anymore.
And expectations are a little high too, I think. The chasing perfection is a double-edged sword, and really you should learn the beginnings first. And like my first guitar, it's not even playable, but I learnt a lot by building it. And you continue that process as you go along. And each time you do a build, this is to anyone listening that's looking at getting into it, you may have all these ideas floating around in your head, but you really only need a couple ideas to build a guitar. And then you learn from that one, and you're like, okay, on my next one, I'm gonna try something different, or I didn't like the way that neck felt, And so it's a process of learning what you like, trial and error, and they definitely don't have to be perfect. Some of the ones that look really rough, in my opinion, are perfect.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Absolutely.
I like to build really high-end stuff, but, that's the route that I take. It doesn't mean that's the route that everybody's got to take,
but not every guitar that you started with, Joe, is a high-end guitar.
Absolutely not.
I've seen your basic builds when you first started were fantastic.
Yeah.
Their roots are worse. They started with people that were too poor to purchase instruments, so they built them out of whatever they could find.
Right. This one up here in the wall up here, this is made out of fence palings. It's one of my very first ones. Yeah. And all I did is I went to the second-hand store and I just bought a kid's size Fender copy for $50 or whatever, and I used that as a donor part. So I took all the parts off it, and then I grabbed 2 fence palings and I just started putting them together. And so because I didn't really understand guitars very well, I took all the measurements and the principles and the neck and the electronics and the tuning keys. I took all that off of a donor guitar and made the body how I like it. And once I did that taught me the fundamentals to how to build a guitar. And then, then you can take it from there. And I imagine you guys would all be the same, Yeah,
and then you find your own style. And and what, like say Burt's style, there isn't anybody else that has his style. And I'd just like to point out, an example, his pickups. If you look at any of his guitars, his pickup covers, they're not perfectly square or anything like that. And, I might make them perfectly square and Burt doesn't. And that's his style. And that's what I love about his guitars, because they'll stand out in any crowd,
Yeah.
Handcrafted. It's not machine stamped up. It's handcrafted.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. No, you do good handcrafting for sure. I like to blend a little bit. I like to dive into the new technology a little bit and, get some laser work or some resin inlays. But again, that's just what keeps my mind busy. We all have our own style. We all have our own interests. Like look at Darren, for example. Darren does his fret work. He trims his frets using a router. Like, that still just absolutely blows my mind.
Fearless. He's completely fearless.
Yeah.
I don't know why nobody's doing it like that.
Oh, I'm going to give it a go one day.
Oh, God.
Is that
yours? Take that piece of shit off.
No, that looks great, Darren.
This is Darren's. This is Darren's. What is it? What do you call this? This is. You know how sometimes you've got a muse, or sometimes you've got something that is your pinnacle of what you've built, and that this is the opposite for Darren. This is Darren's.
That's the hunk of junk.
Every single thing that he tried to do, he hated. And it's one of those funny things, when I turned up at his place the first time I visited and he showed me, he kind of threw it at me and kind of went, "This piece of crap." And I picked it up. I picked it up and was like, "Oh, yeah." I'm sitting there just plucking on it. I loved it.
No.
You know,
sounds good, and it looks good too.
I'm
There's
telling
absolutely
you,
nothing wrong with that guitar.
It's like it's held together with sticky tape and blue tack, and I tell you, it's one of the best sounding guitars I've got. The only thing you had to do, see the little screw there, Dazza? You just had to improve the brake angle over the bridge. It's a cracker.
Pull the bridge down.
No, that's not all that goes wrong with that guitar. It's nothing but a hunk of junk.
No.
It started out. It was going to be perfect.
Oh, there's that word. There's that word. Perfect. Oh.
Yeah.
Perfect. Doesn't always work.
I took some time, like I was working on it, and then I had some stuff happen, and since then, every time I touch it, something goes wrong.
I've had bills like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like that?
Yeah.
And as soon as I got rid of it, everything just started to lift. You know, the curse started to lift.
It's all in the mind, isn't it? It's all in the mind of the beholder. It's the person. So I look at that and I have so much fun with that. It's such a great guitar. It's just I take Prince out for his evening constitutionals. I'll sit out there on the sidewalk, just kind of serenading the dog as he's having his poop. I'm sure people drive up the street. They think I'm nuts.
I'll tell you one thing. I was taking the strings off it. I was loosening them, and a string snapped.
Yeah.
It just doesn't like you, Darren. That's all.
Yeah, but
you upset her somehow.
Dude, you had the worst piece of shit strings on that guitar. As soon as I put here's a plug, guys. I put the killer strings on, and this thing sings. It's awesome.
But how good are those strings, though? How good are those strings, hey? I've got them on my Kumiko 4-string at the moment.
Yeah.
And I just love the tone that they have in them, eh? Like, they're a nice, warm, vintage sort of quality. Good string. What strings do you like to use, Burt?
I've been using the Ernie balls. I'm working on these
that's
two.
What I usually use.
They're getting the killer strings.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm an Ernie Ball guy. Of my whole life. Like I every now and again I try the GHS Boomers. I tried Daddario, all that sort of stuff. All those, and I always come back. It's also because, like, you know, having the shop up at Katoomba, but Steve, who's the Ernie Ball rep, he's such a lovely guy. Like, I just got on so well with Steve. And, you know, we had the Ernie Ball guitars in the shop when we had it, or the Sterling brand kind of, you know, and the sub brand, all that sort of stuff. And I did a lot of work with Ernie Ball when I had the store. But even before that, I've been used since 17. I'm 53 now. I've used Ernie Ball my whole life. The only issue I've got is the fact that when you buy 6-string sets for cigar box guitars, you end up with wastage. You only use 3 of them. And I'd end up with bags of basically of just steel that's just going into landfill or not ever going to be used. So for me, the reason I love the killer strings, when they sent them to me, that they've got that tensile strength. Like, if you use cheap strings, it's almost like they've got a silk instead of having the steel inside with the coils, you know, where it's wrapped around that solid core. It's the stuff that they're using on cheap strings. It's almost like fabric. Almost, it's just shit.
Yeah,
and it does.
I ran into that.
It's you know, and that was the thing, Darren. When I took those old strings on that you'd had, and I put these on, it just makes sense. Like you know, and these aren't super heavy. This is the 4-string set that I do. The highest strings are 16, and it rings.
I like elixir strings as well.
The elixirs. Yeah, I'm not an elixir guy.
I used to use them all the time. I like them because they last longer. They don't rust.
Yeah,
I tried those colored ones.
I've tried them. I just don't like them.
I've tried those coloured ones myself. I didn't like them either.
Mm.
They look cool, but yeah, they got no tone to them. But yeah, no, I like the elixirs. I find them they're a bit thick. They do sort of cut your fingers a little bit, but they last a really long time.
Yeah, what do they coat them in? They coat them in I can't remember.
Yeah, something or other.
Yeah. Anyway. So so we completely digressed.
That ugly red guitar.
Yeah.
This is the upgraded version.
Oh, it's looking so good.
You're still working on that one. That's a pretty guitar.
No. I'm working on others.
Where's your Les Paul?
Yeah.
I don't have a Les Paul.
Where's the LP one? You've done the no cut. He's doing such a great job. He's just Darren's so bloody talented, and he sits there just going no. It looks great. They're so good.
What about you, Jesse? What are you currently working on?
Well, I don't know if you guys saw that acoustic that came to me for surgery.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
Let me grab it for you so you can see.
I'm currently working on nothing at the moment. I have nothing on my bench at the moment. It feels very, very weird.
It's a nice thing though sometimes, mate, just to clear your head and focus on family.
That's what I'm doing, and I've got a lot of gardening to do, so I'm catching up on other duties. No, that's pretty, Jesse.
That's nice.
So this was all broken. This was all broken in. There's probably 6 different pieces. Got it all back together. You can kind of see
it with F holes. Oh, I can see it. Yep.
And I'm waiting for some pit guard material because I'm going to put a new pit guard on here. I'll make it, to kind of replicate the original. But this guitar is 70 years old.
Yeah.
71.
What brand is that?
It's a Silvertone.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Nice guitar.
Oh, yeah. American made.
It's
inexpensive.
It's art. What's that?
Ice back.
Yeah, American made Silvertone guitars. They weren't expensive instruments, but they were American made, and it's just one of those things where at the end of the 60s, the arse basically fell out of the guitaring industry, and it's that guitar being the age it is. That's what was that 1940s, 1950s. So that was pre the big boom, and Silvertone basically, that they had that Sears market, that supermarket chain kind of market all set up, and it was after the 60s where just because the market had been so massively flooded by the Japanese builders at that time and European builders as well, like Hohner and and Echo and a lot of these other companies, that basically the arse just completely fell out of the industry, and companies like Silvertone, which had been around for so long, basically just dissolved. They just fell apart, which is such a shame. But now they're back, of course, but now you're talking like $2,000 guitars. And I think the ethos is wrong. I think it's completely wrong. They were never meant to be super expensive guitars or expensive guitars. They were always meant to be instruments that could be afforded by mum and dad, to help their kids start learning, and or like the blues guys. All the blues guys were playing these. So if you think of Hound Dog Taylor, and you think of a lot of these guys with the Hill Country Blues guys, they're all playing these old Silvertone guitars, and because they were cheap, and I just think that big business once again comes in. Yeah, they've resurrected the brand, but it's like you got it wrong. You got it wrong. It's
That's
in my opinion.
Building.
Well, that's it.
What's that?
The Burt, I want to come back to you, mate. Sorry, we've really digressed a little bit, and I'm kind of probably I blame Darren. And
All right, Thanks, Darren.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your guitars. Now, obviously, you've got some beautiful instruments there, and you've You're playing amazing music. Your film clips, I've got to say, your film clips are absolutely fabulous. They're wonderful.
Yeah. It's a whole package with you.
They really are. But if I wanted to buy one of your guitars, or if I wanted you to build me one, how are people going to... And I know we're a building channel. I know this isn't necessarily. But how are people going to get in contact with you to buy something from you?
You could message me on Facebook.
Yeah.
I tried doing the vending thing. I wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah. Do you do markets or anything? Or?
Go to the show. I'm crazy about it.
Yeah. Do you do festivals?
I did a couple of them.
Yeah. And how did you feel about it?
A lot of work.
Hard work.
A lot of work. Pack everything up, drive down, pack everything back in after you hope you sell something.
Do you have guitars available to sell all the time, or do you build on consignment?
On consignment. Usually people ask me for them.
Yeah. And you have a little bit of an acreage property, and you source a lot of your own materials off your own land?
No, because if you went cutting trees, you'd have to wait for it to dry out.
Yeah.
There is a sawmill. There's a sawmill down in town that sells they sell their cutoffs from the milling process.
Yeah.
So I'll get loads from that for firewood, and some of the real pretty stuff I'll save.
Yep.
Or I'll scavenge old furniture. I used to work at the local dump around here. I'm still friends with the manager there, so he lets me come in and take things occasionally.
Yeah.
You find some real treasures when you do it that way too, don't you?
What's that?
You find some real treasures when you go scavenging like that for materials. Find rare things.
Oh, absolutely.
That aren't. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a good way to look at it. I do it
years ago.
Sorry, Bert.
A couple of years ago, I scavenged a whole pile of maple from busted up teachers' desks.
Yeah.
Wood teachers from a school. They just busted them up and piled them up in the back like storage building. So I made them all disappear.
For us, that's Christmas, isn't it?
Gold. That's gold.
Yeah. I fully agree. I do a bit of dumpster diving myself, is what I call it. There's a staircase timber shop in town, and they get a lot of exotic woods, and I'll just flip myself straight up into their dumpster and start scavenging all kinds of things. And to them, it's waste, but for us, it's gold, as you said.
Darren, you grab a lot of pallets, don't you?
Yeah, a lot of pallets. I haven't gotten any since before Christmas. Just because I've got a heap that I've still got to pull apart. It's a nightmare pulling them apart.
It can be, can't it? Yeah.
Oh, those nails, those serrated nails that they use.
Yeah. You got a thin board that's probably about 15 mil, and they put a 4-inch nail into it just to stick it into another bit of timber.
Yeah. They're hard to tear apart. I've done a few myself. I end up usually just cutting them off and just not worrying about the extra length.
Well, here in Australia, Bunnings here in Australia, which is one of the big box shops, but they used to actually be really good.
Home Depot.
Yeah, so they used to be very good for oak and things like that. But even up here in the mountains, oak is becoming very difficult to get a hold of. They're switching over to they've still got Meranti. I like Meranti. If you can get a hard Meranti, it's good. You just got to avoid the soft stuff that you can stick your thumb into. The Meranti is actually quite nice. It's related, I think, or very similar to mahogany. Yeah, and it's actually not a bad timber to use. I think it's very similar in a way to a lot of the laminating the timbers actually works really, really well as well. But they're using they're actually using a fair bit of now. It looks like a eucalypt that's coming through that they're using. But I find that I think they've maybe have just relabeled the Meranti because it's very, very, very similar. Sand's very similar. It's becoming harder and harder to get that wood. So I'm actually looking around now at actually old fence posts. I'm noticing that
I use a lot of fence posts.
Yeah, a lot of people around here seem to be, and I missed it. We did a drive last weekend, just did a drive just locally around here, and I was umming and ahhing because the people at the front had put this big pile of timber at the front of their house. It was old fence posts, and I drove past. I went, oh, there's going to be a lot of work, kind of sanding that back, cutting that back, and then I thought about it. And I went, No, that's actually a really good. Of course, I went back and it's all gone, and it was like,
Of course it is.
I think I've got to upgrade. I want to get back to using reclaimed timbers again, because they're just so much fun. And so something I've done very briefly, I'll just explain. A few years ago, Shane Spiel put up a video on. There were 3 guitars that he was working on, and one of them was a hee-haw plank. And it was from some 1970s kids show. And they would get this guy to come out, and it's basically was just a length of wood like this with a fretboard on top of it. And it was basically plastic fretboard, it's a kid's toy, basically. And he would play, they would strum this, and you'd play it like a dulcimer. And I loved it. I thought it was 3 strings. It was absolutely gorgeous. Simple little board, routed underneath, totally acoustic, just so you had a little... like a little soundboard underneath the underneath the fretboard that ran the whole length of the guitar, and I thought it was just the most magical little thing. I loved it. So this last week, I actually sat down. It took me about an hour. I used two pieces of plywood, and I sandwiched. I've run out of glue, so I basically just drilled it. Just put big drills, screws holding it the 2 sides together, and I sandwiched it like that. And the one piece that was underneath, I actually used my jigsaw and cut a hole out of the middle of it to act as a soundboard. I've got no thought as to whether or not this thing was actually going to work. It was like, centimetre thick plywood, So, again, I've got cut a shape, so it's come up like, I don't know whether you guys will see, but it's basically kind of looks like that, lengthways, and the fretboard finishes there where the headstock is. And I've got 3 tuners there. It's unbelievable.
It's just a bit of scrap wood.
It's just a bit of scrap. It's the sound projection out of it shouldn't sound as loud as it does. But of course now I've got this mindset. I'm actually going to convert it. So because I don't play dulcimer on my lap, but I love the idea of it. So I'm actually going to convert it into a handheld stand up guitar. Lap steel guitar, so it's actually going to do the same thing. But anyway, I got this total mental... And this is what I'm talking about, people, about experimenting, about getting excited about doing something completely insane. I don't know whether this thing's going to work, but I'm going to bloody well give it a go because I think it might be a lot of fun. So,
and you'll learn from it as well. You'll learn from it.
Oh, absolutely. Wow. So, all right, Bert, man, it's... come to that time of the show where it's been absolutely wonderful having you here, mate. It's really wanted to have a chat with you for a while. Jesse, have you got any other questions for Phil?
Well,
come on, Jesse, you're on the spot.
Yeah, I know. I had some questions this morning. But
Jesse, I've got to apologise. I was actually looking at Joe, and I was actually asking Joe, and I don't know why Jesse came out. It's my dyslexia kicking in. So I actually meant Joe.
How many guitars? How many guitars have you built, Bert?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, so we're over 100.
Well over 100.
Well done. That's really good.
I can tell you the number 1 guitar that's hanging on my wall over here. I can tell you number 7. I'm not sure where that one is.
I don't
this
think
was
either.
The first pin. This was right there with the first pin. It's just a wallet pin.
Oh, it's
that was
beautiful.
old my cabinet drawers that I cut up. I think I actually bought the wood for the neck on this one.
Yes.
Because it was such an early build.
And have you got anything? Are you working on anything at the moment?
I got 2 cigar box ones going.
Oh, you do. You showed me earlier. Yeah.
Got a fat bottom hollow body going.
That's a nice looking guitar.
BC Rich type bass. What was that? An igniter. And then I got to do a BC Rich Warlock bass.
You said, what's the fat bottom? What have you got there, the fat bottom?
That's the one he showed earlier.
Can you see that? Oh, back off. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
So what kind of wood is that? That's a nice grain on that.
That's a
MGB.
Oh, that's the MGB kit. I've got one of those.
Oh.
I've got one of those.
the front piece for the kit, and then I just traced it out on some. This was actually strips of oak.
Yep.
I just traced it out on a big chunk of. A big chunk of pine. I think it used to be a dresser. I mean, a coffee table. It was part of the coffee table. I traced it out on that, and I cut out all the way around, and then laid pieces of oak on top of it.
And then you put the coffee table back in your living room.
No, it was trash.
Trash.
It was a free coffee table I picked up off the
out
of the road.
I'm sure you'll be gearing up for the spring swap off too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So what? This is number 11, correct?
So this is where you build and swap for each other. Is that how that works?
Yes. Yep. It's kind of like a Secret Santa. You sign up to build a guitar for somebody, and then you'll get a name and a little bit of information about them. And you can't tell them who. You don't tell anybody who you're building for. You build them a guitar. If date comes, you ship it to them, and then they'll hopefully do an unboxing video of it. And then you'll receive a guitar from somebody.
From someone else.
You'll receive a guitar from somebody else.
That's a great idea.
Michael Rogers built me this one.
Oh, lovely.
Huh. That's great.
It's a real fun time. I've participated in 3 of them, and there's a lot of great builders in that swap off that you know they might not be participating in all the other groups that we're participating in, you know, and so you build a lot of friendships there. And who doesn't like to get a cool guitar just as a surprise gift? You know, you don't know where it's coming from, when it's coming. And one thing I want to note about Burt there is, and I'm really proud of this, he owns quite a few of my guitars. And he records with those too. And so that makes me like get all the goosebumps and all the feels.
Yeah. I love that feeling. There's nothing better than hearing someone play your guitar, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What was that, Burt? Nobody wants to play. The swap rats. I try to get people to play, and people will say they'll play, and then they never hear back.
Yeah.
So, that was a friend. My friend did all the bass and keyboards on that, and then all the guitars other people had built for me.
Oh,
that's cool.
Man.
So you definitely stood up and did that. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Jesse,
everyone would have loved to see the guitars being played by you, I imagine.
Jesse, if I want to support you and listen to your music, if I want to buy your music, where can I do that?
Where can you buy it?
Yeah.
I can put up a link on the group for where to order the CDs, or it's probably best to message me too. There's so many scammers on Facebook, you never know.
Yeah.
I'm
curious. Though, I'm going to ask this question again because I'm quite curious about this, and this is something I tend to do a lot. And I know, Jesse, I've spoken to you and Darren about it, and Joe, you're all right because you've got your own. But it's I'm curious as to why you haven't gone down the route of opening a website.
Because then I don't know. I guess it turns it into a business.
So it's for you. This is more of a passion project than a business thing. Yeah, so I think that's magical. It's just, I think Darren's in the same kind of headspace at the moment, except he's getting henpecked by the missus.
Yeah, I think Burt, he gives a lot of instruments away, I think.
And that's why I'm trying to get people who are on the cusp or are building but are struggling to kind of get their product out there. I'm actually very passionate about helping people actually create websites. And actually it's, and use websites to actually promote themselves as a form of self-promotion. I'm all in as far as that's concerned. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and tell someone that they have to do it. It's something that you need to want to do, that kind of thing. And so when someone says to me, I don't want to do that because then it becomes a business, I completely understand. I utterly and completely understand, the feelings behind that. And it's not something that I'm going to sit there and go, you're wrong, because you're not wrong. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's got to be something for you. And I wish that when I first started, like I've said this before, when I first started, I had no intention of going into business. I just wanted to build some guitars. And then it just kind of exploded from there. It just kind of went off, and now I'm doing all the things that I'm doing. But it's every single thing that I do, there's a business acumen to it, which is good in one way, but in other ways it's not, because it kind of sucks the enjoyment out of it sometimes, which is why when I was talking to you about the little lap steel that I'm building, that I'm so passionate about that, because for me that's completely experimental. But then the business side of my brain is starting to take over now, thinking how can I make it more viable?
Yeah,
you definitely
have a business brain. You definitely think of it as a business approach, and I wish I had a little bit of your business mind, but I'm kind of on the fence. I sort of bounce both sides. Is it a hobby? Is it a business? Is it a hobby? Is it a business? And going balls deep, I guess, into the business side of things does zap the passion out of me. I like to keep it as I don't like I have to do this attitude.
Yeah,
you know, I like my job to pay my bills, and I like my guitars to supplement my income. I don't want to rely on it.
Yeah. So for me,
what it boils down to, for anybody, all of us that build, it's therapy.
Yeah,
therapy and passion first.
Yeah. So
I agree.
When you start, and I sell plenty of guitars, not very often, and they come and go. But that's my main thing. I feel like I need to create in order to keep my soul at ease.
Yeah.
I'm the same, yeah. It occupies the dead headspace, and when your mind is focused on something you're passionate about, life seems to be a little bit easier.
The listeners that would, if they want to get into building cigar box guitars, what advice would you give them?
Don't be afraid to fail.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Experiment.
Nobody learns from their successes. They always learn from their failures.
Mistakes make it good.
When you learn the most is from the failures.
That's it. That's it.
I also find a lot of my failures end up being because once you stuff something up, you've got to figure out a solution. And I honestly, quite often, I've found my failures, the outcome has ended up being way, way better or far exceed what I thought it would be in the first place. So sometimes a failure is a benefit. It makes you think of it in a different approach.
Huge part of it. How do I fix this now?
Yeah, and then it can lead you down a whole new path, and you're like, wow, I never even thought of doing it like this before. And like even some of my carvings that I've done are only carved because I stuffed up my original idea. And then I look back at it, and I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I stuffed that up because look how good it looks now. Sure. So yeah. But failures are definitely a thing that help you become, a better builder.
That's it. All right, gentlemen. I think we'll have to call time on it. It's gone very quickly. We're already almost up at an hour and 10 minutes. So it's gone very quickly. Burt, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you for all that you're contributing to the group as well. We really value your input and the help that you're giving builders in our community. It's wonderful. The songs are amazing. Please keep up the incredible work.
More coming.
Yeah, that's it. All right, guys. All right, so again, thanks to C.B.Gitty for sponsoring the show. And, guys, just have a fantastic week. We'll all talk during the week, no doubt. Good listener, thank you for listening. Really appreciate your support. And again, best way you can support the show quite simply is just by telling your friends about it and getting your friends to listen to it. So let's go.
Let's go.
Awesome.
Pleasure talking to you guys.
All the best. Take care.
Take
Bye.
care.
Yeah.